Hello, good morning. It is 8:30. I'll go ahead and call today's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order. Our first item on the agenda today is an approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion offered from Commissioner Campbell to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ebbinger. Any further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Citizens to be heard today. Are there any individuals in the audience wishing to address the county board on any item that is not on the agenda? Any citizens wishing to be heard? Have we had any requests for online?
We have not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda today is the approval of the payment of bills and vouchers.
I move to approve the payment of bills and vouchers.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Krabanoff to approve the payment of bills and vouchers.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Campbell. Any further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item 2 today is a recognition for a proclamation for National Treatment Court Month. I'm going to do the minutes first because I just got so excited that so many people came in here. We do have minutes, I'm sorry, in the packet from May 5th, May 11th, and the work group session, May 21st.
Move to approve.
Motion offered from Commissioner Campbell to approve the minutes as presented. Second from Commissioner Ebbinger. Any further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Now we can get to item number 2 today, which is a recognition, a proclamation for National Treatment Court Month. We have Judge Rosenfeld, Judge Leeser with us today. I don't see Crystal. Anyone else joining you up there?
It'll be us too, but then we have members of all of the treatment courts.
Great.
This morning, and I won't go through and do all the introductions, but members of the DWI court team, drug court team, and veterans court.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us a few moments today as we recognize May as National Treatment Court Month. As one of the judges who has the opportunity to preside over treatment court, I have the privilege of seeing firsthand the profound impact that these programs have on individuals, families, and our communities. What makes treatment court unique is that they bring together judges, probation agents, law enforcement, treatment professionals, attorneys, social services, community services to work collaboratively towards long-term recovery and public safety. Treatment courts reduce recidivism, improve recovery outcomes, reunite families, increase employment, and save taxpayer dollars by reducing repeated incarceration and crisis system involvement. I often say the treatment court is one of the most meaningful things our justice system can do because it combines accountability with the opportunity for transformation. This month gives us the opportunity to recognize the incredible professionals who make this work possible, our treatment providers, probation agents, attorneys, coordinators, law enforcement partners, peer support specialists, community organizations. Their dedication changes lives every single day. So today, we are respectfully requesting that the County Commission join communities across Minnesota and the nation in recognizing National Treatment Court Month by issuing a proclamation acknowledging the important work of treatment courts and the positive impact that they have on our county. Judge Leeser, anything you wish to add?
I would just say that, assuming this passes your body here today and that you're on board with this, we just really appreciate the support from the county. We have had a tremendous outpouring of support in our treatment courts this year, publicly, privately, from unexpected corners of the community, and it's just really reflective of the community's dedication to trying new and effective and proven strategies to reduce recidivism in our community. So we're just really fortunate to be able to do this kind of work in this community and with your all support.
And I'd also just wish to add that if this passes, then 1 week from today, we will be doing an official recognition of the proclamation, as well as an announcement of the official alumni group for all Clay County treatment courts. And we are currently recruiting a number of our alumni to be a part of that alumni group. We have a leader for that alumni group, and we think that that is really going to just continue to build on the success of these programs.
When and where would that be?
So it will be on Tuesday, 1 week from today at 3:30. We are still deciding on location, but we will update you as soon as we've decided that. We should have a decision by the end of today.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding the presentation? Commissioner Ebinger.
Yeah, I'd just like to make an observation. I've been witness to the productivity of treatment courts through most of my career as a police officer. It's a 40-year career, both here and in other jurisdictions. The Moorhead Police Department supported with diverting funds from our seized assets funds for years while I was chief. And as with that investment came an engagement by some of my detectives and certainly by the administration in making sure that we were involved in something productive. My experience is the people that go through the treatment courts work harder, they're more committed, and they do more towards paying back society, paying back their families, and giving themselves a future than just incarcerating somebody or just putting somebody on probation. There's more of a commitment to it. And I'm grateful we've got these programs. It is part of my portfolio. I'm working with the state of Minnesota as a representative for AMC with our treatment courts. And I just want the public to be assured that they are a valuable resource in getting people who have made mistakes and sometimes very difficult people to work with and turn around. But when they commit to it, they get back out and they're benefiting the community, their families, and themselves. So I appreciate what the staff here and what the judges are doing, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions? I'm not sure I could articulate better than Commissioner Ebinger. We also see significant value in the lives of the people that you work with for this. Thank you. Anything else? All right, shall we read the proclamation?
Whereas addiction and mental illness touch the lives of families across Clay County, and the traditional justice system, acting alone, too often cannot break that cycle. And
Whereas treatment court brings together judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and treatment providers to offer a different path, one built on accountability, evidence-based treatment, and genuine support for recovery. And
Whereas Clay County is proud to operate 3 treatment courts, one adult drug treatment court, a veterans treatment court, and DWI court, serving individuals and families who are working hard every day to reclaim their lives. And
Whereas participants in treatment courts are held to rigorous standards, appearing regularly before the court, submitting to testing, and engaging in the hard work of treatment. And when they rise, we rise with them. And
Whereas research consistently shows that treatment courts reduce substance use, lower recidivism, strengthens families, and saves taxpayer dollars, producing better outcomes than incarceration alone. And whereas every person who has completed the Clay County Treatment Court is proof that recovery is possible, and that the justice system, at its best, can be a doorway to a better life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Clay County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim May 2026 as Treatment Court Month in Clay County, Minnesota, and call upon our community to recognize the courage that it takes to choose recovery,
Madam Chair,
to honor those walking that road, and to celebrate the truth that when we invest in people, they can and do change.
Madam Chair, I move the proclamation.
second,
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Campbell to move the proclamation and a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Commissioner Campbell.
I just want to also, in addition to Commissioner Ebinger's comments, This has been something that our board has supported for a number of years, and it's proven year in and year out to be very effective. When we look at the ability to keep offenders from reoffending, the people have to realize the significant cost of having them in our system, that this is a far better way. Now, granted, it's not successful in every case, right? But the evidence that we have shows that the percentage is high in reducing recidivism. So I'm happy to support this. The drug court was the first one, and then we've moved into a couple of others, and it seems to me that they have all been very successful, and I want to congratulate our judges and those that have been working on this. There may have been some hiccups along the way, but I think it still is a remarkable program, and I proudly support the proclamation. So, thank you.
Any further comments?
Next one. Yeah, I couldn't go without saying something. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've been around recovery for decades, and watching people go through the process, and you mentioned recidivism. Yeah, this is how it works, and it's not easy just to turn an addiction off, and it takes time, and it takes coaching, mentorships, all the things that you offer through your program. So I too am very, very, very happy that you've split this into 3 areas. I think the more the better, and we are a better community because of it. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Commissioner
I
Cowan?
just want to add one thing. We're always invited to the graduations of this, and I was able to attend graduations early on. However, later on, I ended up being on another board that did not allow me to be at these graduations, which typically are held on a Wednesday. But I do want to say that the graduations I've been at, and I remember Commissioner Gross when he was here, I think one of his best favorite things that he did as a commissioner was attended those graduations from these programs. And so maybe now I'm probably not going to be a commissioner much longer, but
We will keep you on the invite list.
there you go.
His
And my
Wednesdays
Wednesdays
just
will be
opened up.
And my Wednesdays will be freer.
Wonderful.
And the DWI courts will be on Fridays, Commissioner Campbell.
Well, I'm at the lake Fridays. No, I'll be happy to come. Thank you.
We'd love to have you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
We'll move to item 3, the request approval of the amendment to MNDOT for agreement 1061904.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, so the amendment to this MnDOT agreement, this is for the roundabout project. So basically what this is MnDOT was able to appropriate an additional $293,478 in federal funding. So that'll thus reduce our local share on the project.
Questions?
I hate to pass this one up.
Well, I'll say we continue to be happy at how your department and others look to additional ways and grant opportunities to reduce our local share on these vitally needed pieces. Again, this is a no-brainer savings, I guess. Commissioner Ebinger?
Yeah, I just want to point out something, Justin. I have never had the kind of response, and my district's all in Moorhead, but people use this intersection a lot, and everybody hates it. And I've never had the kind of response, people stopping me on the street, in the grocery store, 2 people coming up to me in a restaurant here 2 weeks ago. I've never had the kind of response. People are excited about this. and for you and your staff to bring it in with as much assistance as this needed project is getting. Really grateful for it.
It's very good to hear. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the amendment to MnDOT contract 1061904.
We have a motion offered from Commissioner Campbell,
Second?
a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Further discussion? Do you need the amount added in the motion?
Yeah, yes, please.
Commissioner Campbell, does the amount reflect your motion?
Yes, that's the $293,478.
Okay, Commissioner Ebinger.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you.
Item 4 today, the Adult Mental Health Local Advisory Council Annual Report. Bree, Allison, good morning. Welcome to the board.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. My name's Allison Wolbeck, and I'm co-chair of the Clay County.
Allison, yeah.
There you go.
My name's Allison Wolbeck, and I'm co-chair of the Clay County Adult Mental Health Local Advisory Council. And we are pleased to present our 2025 report. On behalf of the council, we appreciate the commitment and investment that Clay County Board of Commissioners has provided for us. With your support, we've been able to provide, through the funding you've provided, we continue to provide ongoing education related to mental health and mental health services across the community. Individuals with a lived experience of mental health conditions and family members of the LAC continue to receive stipends for participating in community projects such as the Clay County Fair, mental health events across the community. Recently, we did have a table set up at the Mental Health in the Park at, I cannot remember the name of that park. The Viking Ship Park, yes. And we allow our members to have a greater understanding of the ongoing mental health needs of the larger community.
Building a stronger foundation for mental wellness. So our group, really focuses on community integration and building relationships. But the World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of well-being in which the individual realizes his own abilities, can cope with the normal stressors of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. While the 2025 report primarily highlights the strong community partnerships, collaborative efforts, and accomplishments of the LAC in addressing the needs of adults living with mental illness in Clay County, we also recognize the importance of advancing policies, systems, and environments that promote mental health and well-being for residents to prevent or mitigate the impact of mental illness and support recovery.
Last year, we spent a great deal of our time in building relationships, reaching out to community agencies, and spreading the word to individuals with a lived experience of mental health conditions to join our meetings. The attendance at our meetings has increased twofold, which in turn brings better discussions and dialogue about barriers and their impacts on clients, referral processes, wait lists, and ways to improve mental health services in the county.
At our annual 2025 meeting last July, we really tried to spread the word to get consumers and agencies just really tried to make it a big event, and we saw existing members and many new faces. and they continue to come. And so that was a huge win for us, that the new agencies that attended our annual have continued to join our monthly meetings now. Very cool to see. We also on a monthly basis, we continue to reach out to local agencies just to do, to present at our monthly meetings for new services or new resources that could help individuals in any way. So, and that's very, you know, even if I know somebody personally or, you know, that works at an agency, if Paul knows somebody, you know, we all have our connections, so we all try to do our part to bring people to our meetings. And then
Legislative changes and also the economy has significantly affected clients and service and the way services are provided. Some of those examples are medical assistance, transportation contracts have ended, the healthy food benefit and over-the-counter benefit have been cut, and co-pays for medications, even insulin not being covered for some individuals. All of these challenges make it even harder for individuals with a lived experience to meet their basic needs alongside the rising costs and inflation of everyday life.
I do kind of want to touch base too, when housing stabilization services ended in October of 2025, that put a really big strain on agencies to kind of get creative and how to utilize their existing staff members to still serve the people that they were serving with mental health services. Some agencies have expanded other services, even, you know, Clay County Social Services adding an additional Rule 79 case manager, other agencies adding arms practitioners, psychiatrists, therapists, just trying to still serve those folks. So other positives within the LAC in 2025, we ended up having 2 of our LAC members who joined the Beak House Steering Committee to represent Clay County. They've returned to our table to present items discussed at these meetings. Our co-chair, Allison here, continues to serve on the State Advisory Council for Mental Health. And then this year, our council collectively agreed to use the funds received this in 2025 to purchase a billboard for Mental Health Month in 2026 here in May. So you'll see 2 billboards, one by the Dairy Queen in Moorhead, one on Highway 10, that kind of rotates between a couple different billboards promoting mental health in the area. Keep your eyes out.
Overall, while 2025 did present challenges to agencies and individuals with a lived experience and family members supporting consumers with mental health, our local advisory council will continue to meet monthly, advise and educate the county board of unmet needs of adults with mental illness. We will review and evaluate the continuum of services for adults with mental illness and provide public education and awareness about mental illness and promote mental health in Clay County. Sometimes we don't have all the answers, but we show the same compassion to help others who struggle. We will continue to do just this in 2026. Next in your board packet is our current membership, which needs board approval.
Any questions to either Bree or Allison on the report? I know Commissioner Krabnoff is the co-chair as well. Commissioner, do you have anything to add?
I do.
Okay.
First of all, a lot of thank you to both of you and Kristen Lepard in the back there with our service, in our adult mental services. I want to make note that you heard that Allison, for a number of years, has not only been our chair, but also has been serving on the State Advisory Council of Mental Health, bringing back a lot of the advocacy that happens now with legislature and throughout the year, giving guidance to DHS. The other part, and we see the membership list here that we're going to make a motion on, You can see there's 30 names on here, and the one thing that is a little unique about this group, we have other, I think there are 7 here, and sometimes more, do show up as consumers. That is a name we have put to that. And they come in and they're in real life situations, and they share that. And I think that gives a better perspective to all the providers and having a dialogue with each. Much like our children's mental health group, LAC, one common thing that happens in both those groups is by sharing these successes and challenges, they're hearing from each other. When there's a shortage, they're talking about a shortage. How can we refer to help cover each other to give the greatest opportunity possible through this group? And collectively, I mean, it makes a difference. I see that. So I've been really happy to be part of being a co-chair with you. We meet every month, try to plan and for that next meeting, and we hold these meetings the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 3 o'clock, and we certainly invite more providers to come, be a part of our group, as well as consumers that are those living with mental health needs. So with that, I would like to make a motion, if I may, that we do approve the adult mental health LAC membership list.
Okay, we have a motion offered from Commissioner Krabnoff to approve the list.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Ebinger. Discussion. I just want to offer gratitude for the work in which your organization does, having a space for all the different folks to come and talk about these issues is really valuable. And it certainly shapes the dialogue that we're having in St. Paul. You mentioned legislation being challenging and an opportunity for some changes there. So thank you for having that discussion. Some of you might not know, Allison served on our mental health advisory committee when we talked about adding that component into our new correctional facility, and it was really groundbreaking, but also we've heard from staff throughout the years how beneficial that has been there to make sure we're taking that component in. Thank you for your work there. Thank you for your work on this committee and certainly at the state as well. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5 today is the request approval to consider adding a .6 WIC registered dietitian position. Jessica, are you waiting on Sue or is it just you today?
She was coming.
Okay.
Is Sue out there?
We can start. Morning, Jessica.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I am here today to request consideration to add a .6 registered dietitian in the WIC program. Over the past several years, the program has consistently maintained a caseload exceeding 1,400 client visits per month, which has, oh, come on.
Sorry, Sue.
That's okay. Which we're feeling it's not sustainable under our current staffing structure. At present, the WIC program is staffed by 3 full-time employees, 2 variable hour registered dietitians, and a .6 administrative assistant. The full-time team includes our WIC director, Sue Olson, 1 registered dietitian, and 1 nutrition specialist. The 2 variable hour staff are both registered dietitian. One consistently is working 8 hours a week, while the other fills in intermittently as she is able when we have a need. Additionally, we recently lost a variable hour registered dietitian who resigned with her last day being May 7th, which kind of triggered this need to consider looking at our staffing structure. Dietitians in the WIC program are responsible for conducting comprehensive assessments, developing care plans, providing nutrition education and counseling to pregnant and postpartum women, infants, and children. They also manage quite a bit of documentation due to the federal requirements, issue benefits, coordinate referrals, and collaborate with other referral sources and community partners to ensure compliance with state and federal program requirements. As I mentioned, WIC is a federally funded and mandated program, which is administered through the state of Minnesota and then delivered through local public health agencies. As a participating agency, the county must meet all federal and state program requirements. In 2025, Clay County averaged 1,488 WIC appointments per month. By comparison, Becker County averaged 635 appointments per month with 2 FTEs. Becker County is also in the process of requesting an additional variable hour staff to support their program. Also, to compare to Otter Tail County, they averaged 1,181 appointments per month, and they currently staff 3.25 FTEs. So based on comparison by appointments per month, our county's workload is approximately 56% higher than Becker's and 37% higher than Otter Tail's. Due to the volume and limited staffing, our WIC director frequently works more than 40 hours per week to meet client needs and ensure regulatory compliance, particularly during staff absences. Approval of this position would reduce caseload pressure, improve program sustainability, and allow leadership to dedicate more essential management and supervisory responsibilities while still maintaining high client quality care. The position would be classified at grade 17, and we're requesting a 0.6, so 24 hours per week. After much consideration, that was kind of the number Sue felt would give enough coverage to reduce her direct client work while still maintaining the quality care that our clients have come to expect. So we've also received approval to fund 50% of this position through the CDC infrastructure grant. So that is a federal grant that supports public health workforce capacity and is currently available through December 31st of 2027. As a result, half the cost of the salary and benefits would be covered for the remainder of 2026 and all of 2027. So it's uncertain if this grant will be renewed beyond 2027, but if it is, we would continue to utilize that funding to support this position. Since this position is not currently budgeted, the net annual impact to the public health budget for 2026 would be $12,904 after accounting for grant funding. Although WIC does generate program revenue, the client need is currently being met through full-time staff working in excess of 40 hours and then through variable hour support, so we don't anticipate additional revenue. However, we still feel that this would be a highly, very much needed support for the program. Also in 2026, Public Health lost an administrative assistant position, so that loss resulted in a budget savings of $24,452. So our hope is that we can use some of that savings to cover the cost of this position for the remainder of 2026. And then just finally, we did bring this before PIC last week and received approval to bring to full board. And with that, I'll yield for any questions.
Thank you for the presentation, Jessica. Questions? It was discussed at PIC last week. We did talk about understanding that we are in some challenging times as we frame what a budget looks like. Did feel because of the earlier reduction in cost because of that other position, and given this was a 0.6, felt like we could make this work. But what I'll say is it was very clear that what we had available for staffing was not adequate. When we have individuals that have not taken vacation days for years because of the inability to cover what is needed, the onus is on this board to make sure we adjust that, and appreciate that you came forward with not a full-time piece at this moment, so that we can continue to evaluate where the staffing needs truly lie. Yes, Commissioner Kramenhoff.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment. I certainly strongly support the work you do, and the fact that the efficiency of your work and still have work beyond strongly shows the need. I'm not going to get caught up on not how money not already planned for 26 can't be added when we see such a pressing need. So with that, you'll have my support.
Additional board discussion. Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, as Commissioner Moser mentioned, this was brought before PIC. And I really find that in 2026, if we approve this, it really is pretty much budget neutral when you consider the other savings that we've had. When we look at these client numbers, my only wish is that the client numbers would go down. And I just wish we could do more in that regard to help reduce the need of that program. But in the meantime, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And so I fully support the motion, or the request. And as a matter of fact, Madam Chair, I would move to approve the .6 WIC registered dietitian position with backfill if there is needed.
Second.
A motion offered from Commissioner Campbell, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Commissioner Ebinger, did you have a further comment? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Item 6 today is a request approval to hire RN lead at grade 19, step 8. We have Andrew and Troy with us today. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Yes, today we are bringing forward a request to approve starting a lead RN on step 8. We went to PIC last week, and happy to be sitting here today, so requesting this position.
Thank you, Troy. We did talk about this at PIC, as noted. I had a fairly long conversation on this. Really do feel like, given the challenges that we have had over the years with RNs because of the health hospitals that are in the region, felt like this is a offer that we're really excited about and could really benefit the services in Clay County. And it was pushed forward unanimously. Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, this is one of those areas when it comes to the hiring of RNs, and in this case, a lead RN. Our market conditions here have really made it difficult for us to be able to move these people into a position like this at step 1. And so quite often in this particular case, we have had to move up on that step line to just to have somebody have the interest to come here and work. So that might be saying a little bit about our grid too, but that could be for another day. But yeah, again, our PIC committee fully supports this hiring this lead.
Unless there's other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of the RN lead at grade 19, step 8.
We have a
Second.
motion offered from Commissioner Krabenoff, a second from Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Granted.
Thank you very much.
You both. Item 7 today, request approval for the strategic staffing realignment proposal. Financial services eligibility worker. Good morning, Quinn.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Okay, yes, I am here to request a strategic staffing realignment, which I'll go over in just a second. There's quite a bit of detail to it, so please feel free to jump in if you have any questions at any time. I'm proposing to make this staffing realignment to help strengthen our financial services team. The impacts of the big beautiful bill are coming. October 1st of 26 and January 1st of 27 is when we're going to see a lot of these, but they'll continue after that as well. As you've heard us talk about it, our casework becomes more complicated over time due to these policy changes, administrative requirements being added, our caseloads continue to grow. And also, as you know, our technology systems have not kept pace with the work that we're being asked to complete. I do anticipate that these pressures are going to continue to increase as the big beautiful bill's provisions continue to roll out. We have an opportunity with 2 retirements that have occurred and that are occurring in social services to really take a look at how we structure our workforce. So rather than simply replacing those positions as they exist today, I'm proposing to strategically shift some of those staffing resources into our financial services division through onboarding 2 brand new eligibility worker positions. It's kind of a 2-part proposal. So the first part of this proposal involves the retirement of our longest tenured licenser, who has been with Clay County since January 4th of 1993, who retired on Friday. Following their retirement, I am proposing to hold that licensing position vacant rather than refill it. This is not a new idea, to be honest. Jessica left, but prior to Jessica transitioning to her role as public health director, we had ongoing conversations around all the divisions within social services of where we could improve efficiencies, restructure work where it makes sense, and identify potential long-term cost savings without sacrificing our service delivery. 2 major ideas came out of those conversations between Jessica and myself. The first was actually the MnChoice's SNBC change that social services completed with public health. And the second was this possibility of restructuring and redistributing the licensing duties within the remaining workforce if a licensor chose to retire, rather than automatically refilling it or considering other options like layoffs or outsourcing licensing services. We did create a restructuring and workload redistribution plan with the remaining licensing staff if this were to be approved. This plan includes reassignment of different types of licensing duties, cross-training to provide backup coverage for those duties, redistributing our provider outreach and recruitment events that we attend, and reevaluating membership and different committee participations that we participate in. I would not be proposing this change if I believed it would create an unacceptable risk to our providers, to our standards, or to client safety. The licensing team was included in these preliminary conversations about what this plan would look like while Jessica was still in the department, and now with Mary taking over her spot, Mary and myself have met with the licensors as well. And this restructuring plan was built directly from the feedback and concerns that we all talked about with the licensors. I do intend to actively monitor what those workload impacts would look like into the future, our provider responsiveness, and how our staff are doing with this change, and I would return with recommendations if this is a huge failure. I don't think that's the case, but I'm always open to being wrong. The second part of this proposal involves the replacement of another longstanding staff member who has been with the county since April 8th, 2002. They currently are an eligibility worker within our family team. That position would continue to be filled immediately due to the operational need. However, that person is at the top of the pay scale, and we expect the replacement to come in at grade 14, step 1. So there'll be some cost savings going from the top of the pay scale to the bottom. So those 2 retirements together create this opportunity to strategically reinvest these staffing resources into financial services by adding the 2 new eligibility workers. The dollars and cents of this, the licensing position, the annual wages and benefits is $130,090. However, there's some payouts and early retirement incentives. So the 2026 savings after the payouts for the licensing position is $32,410. But in 2027, the structural savings will be $130,090. The eligibility worker position with the early retirement incentive and the payouts that come with that retirement, it's actually an increased cost in 2026 of $8,595. However, the ongoing structural savings in 2027 would be $15,571, going from the top of the grid to step one. So the total 2026 savings is $23,815. However, the combined structural savings beginning in 2027 would be $145,661. So by adding 2 new eligibility worker positions, the total gross cost of those positions at grade 14, step 1 with benefits is $158,685. However, those positions get 50% FFP through the state and federal reimbursement. So the local levy impact cuts that in half, down to $79,343. So rather than hiring both positions immediately, this proposal, it's only one proposal this time, I did bring this to pick, and I've tweaked the numbers a little bit, so there's one proposal that I'm bringing forth today. I would stagger the hiring of these 2 new eligibility workers to effectively make this budget neutral in 2026. So I would immediately fill the retiring eligibility workers position now. The first new eligibility worker would be brought on August 1st, and the second eligibility worker would be staggered for a November 1st start date. So from a fiscal standpoint, again, to recap that, our 26 savings is $23,815. The estimated expenditures for bringing on a new eligibility worker in August for the remainder of the year is $16,530. And that second eligibility worker from November to the end of the year is $6,612 for a net favorable impact of 2026 for $673 to the good. So operationally, this approach allows us to proactively build that staffing capacity for the big, beautiful bill and still have no impact on 2026's budget. So again, to summarize all of this, after the retirement-related payouts and transition costs are paid out in 2027, I anticipate ongoing annual savings of $145,661 by holding the licensing position vacant and refilling that retiring eligibility worker position at grade 14, step 1, rather than the top of the grid. The annual cost of the 2 new eligibility workers is $158,000 less the FFP, which brings the levy impact to $79,343. So I'd be taking some of that $145,000 in savings, applying it to the levy impact to still have a positive net position for 2027's budget of $66,317. A lot of information I threw at you, a lot of numbers, so let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks for walking that through, Quinn. Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you. Yeah, we had quite a long discussion on this at PIC, and one of the questions that I didn't ask, and I think you touched on it a little bit this morning, but with the leaving of the licensing position vacant, are we comfortable and confident in the caseloads of the remaining licensors? And is that going to become a challenge?
That's obviously my biggest concern with this, is what that looks like. We have communicated with the licensors. We'd kind of be moving CRS, CFRS, and all FRSs to one, and then leaving all family child cares to another, whereas right now we have one of our licensors that kind of has a split makeup. We'd be streamlining those, and then those 2 licensors would provide backup coverage. Based on the math, it's about 11.4 visits per month for the family child care licensor. We believe that this is doable. That is what I would be actively monitoring. Our licensors were pretty transparent with me that because of the timelines of those check-ins and when they need to do their licensing activities, it's not going to be a year worth of checking. It's going to be closer to 2 or 3 years to see if this is a successful plan or not. But that said, it is very much on my radar.
And then you have a third one that deals with the foster families? Is that?
We have 4, yes. We have 4 licensors. So we have a non-relative foster care licensor and then a relative foster care licensor.
And are those able to, you talked about being able to cross-train and that type of thing. So all of our licensors, do they have the ability to, for example, go and do an inspection regardless of type of?
What we'd do is we'd have the family child care and then the CRS, CFRS, FRS cross-train for one another's caseload. And then our foster homes are already cross-trained, they would continue to do so. And then some of the outreach and recruitment activities would shift from family child care licensing to our foster care licensors.
And you mentioned two of these people, and I think they both qualified for the early incentive. And I'm going to quote your two words. This allowed you to improve efficiencies.
Did.
So to me, having the ability to have that incentive program is doing what it's supposed to do. So, and with that, I also want to state that Quinn, when we talked about this in PIC, originally there was, the way it was designed, there would have been a slight little negative cost to 2026.
Correct.
And Quinn was willing, we asked that if he could try to make that budget neutral for 2026. And I am thankful that you're bringing that back, and I think by the staggering of those positions, as you've talked about today, I think that certainly makes that doable, and it leaves no negative impact to our 2026 budget. So I think that's a good move. And I really appreciate, you know, and you even mentioned Jessica before, working on this. I think this is a good strategy, provided that we're not putting extra demands on our current staff. And I think you've done a really nice job in how you're handling this.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ebinger?
Yeah, in looking at this, it's pretty impressive. If you didn't have a track record since you've come on board of coming up with good ideas and making them work, I'd be skeptical. And I want to assure you of something. As long as you're willing to do this, there's an element of risk. If in what I'm sure is going to be a well-monitored transition, you see problems, feel free to come back and tell us what you need to put the wheels back on. That is, you know, we're asking our employees to stick their neck out and rearrange things and break that lethargic expenditure money that happens sometimes, because that's the way we've always done it. You're doing a real good job of listening to that and of coming through with good response. I think we need to be aware that the element of risk is there, and if it doesn't work, I trust you'll retool it and come back with something that will. I appreciate it. Having said that, I would like to make sure I get this right. Motion to approve leaving the licensing position vacant, refilling the retiring eligibility worker position, and reallocating the savings to hire 2 new eligibility workers with the approved timeline.
That motion covers.
And does this need backfill?
I would request backfill just in case, yes.
With backfill as well.
Second the motion.
Second from Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Campbell, or Krabanoff?
Strongly echo what Dave just said. I echo exactly what Dave just said. Do have a question on the staggered timeline? So if we go back to the eligibility worker, how do you cover that for the 2 months or 3 months?
We would cover the retiring eligibility worker would be replaced immediately. We'd start that onboarding process immediately. But for the 2 new workers, we would stagger. There'd be 3 people that would be hired total with this proposal. 1 to replace the retiring, and then 2 brand new ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have lead workers that when there are leaves or FMLAs or vacancies that occur, we have lead workers that can step in temporarily to help take some of the caseload.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, but it works.
Yeah, and I think for multiple reasons, you know, it is good, and maybe it goes back to the day we had the retreat, the manager's retreat. We talked about that cross-training, if you will, to cover our bases in a lot of different ways. Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Clear? I also want to comment that I really do appreciate when we look at staffing strategically, there are some savings without compromising quality in the work that we're doing, in the systems that we're double checking. I really do appreciate your ability to see if this could work with making some substantial savings, I believe. And certainly the board really does look at that favorably, and we appreciate that. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you so much.
All right. We are scheduled for a brief break. Okay, we are back. We will go ahead with number 9, committee reports. Commissioner Ebinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week on Tuesday, the 12th, we all attended the EDC-EDA quarterly discussion. Covered a number of items that I won't go too deeply into the minutia, but solid waste, demolition, landfill updates, discussion of compiling all the economic development programs available in Clay County on our website. Had a nice presentation on the Spark Center and the new Moorhead Library. And again, there was discussion on collaboration with other entities here in the community. It's just a good, these have turned into really good meetings. And it helps collaborate some of the efforts that we've got, particularly on this side of the river, to advance the economic development of our communities. Later that day, participated in a discussion, again collaborative, involving the Greater Fargo Moorhead EDC with the Minnesota partners on some issues that were of interest. On Wednesday the 13th, attended the Northwest Emergency Communication Board meeting. And as quick as I can find my notes on that. Okay, pretty much regular business on the old business section. New business, we had a couple of general items on approval for talk groups and interoperability. One that I found kind of interesting is that we've got, as everybody knows, we've for years now had the Red River Regional Dispatch Center on ARMOR, the Minnesota backbone system. I went up when I first came here as police chief with North Dakota Air Guard. In one of their helicopters, they were assisting the Regional Drug Task Force on a police operation and found it really good. They were very effective, and it helped avoid some problems. We approved the North Dakota Air Guard at our last meeting for an interoperability use of the ARMOR air system, or ARMOR communication system. They have 3 helicopters that work with our regional drug task forces, and they now are able to communicate directly with the ARMOR systems. And we voted it and passed that, which was, I think, good for the entire system here. On Thursday, I attended the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon meeting. We had our general business discussions. I will say, Kurt Cannon came back. He had been on one of the honor flights, assisting with the veterans who were going out on that. And that honor flight system is really impressive, what it does for our, mostly right now it's Vietnam and Gulf War vets. The World War II and Korean vets pretty much have all been, and they're at an age where they're not traveling. One of the discussions was that at least within the next couple of years, Gulf War vets, the more recent ones, are probably going to get some eligibility. And that concludes my meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebinger. Commissioner Kravinoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too was on the Tuesday the 12th, part of the county EDC, EDA quarterly discussion. I'll just make a little comment. It's always not only, it's just energizing, I should say, when we have 4 communities, as I here, so I point them all out. So we had Dilworth, we had Barnesville, Holly, and Moorhead in that discussion. And to hear all 4 of them of the activity that they have going on in their community is just really energizing, highlight, and in Dilworth, the opening of over in the rail district, the community center, groundbreaking, all that going on, and other subdevelopment starting over there. Barnesville, apartment buildings going up, a new subdivision starting there. Their campground expanding over to Holly, a new land development area on both the south and the east side of town, and just hear all that. And then City Moorhead with the opening of downtown, and then the potential economic driver of potentially a staff complex outside of town here. So anyway, I just enjoy those meetings, hear their update, good to hear their updates, and then again, as we're involved with them, when next legislative session comes or those type of things, as we communicate with each other, it's good when we can go down and speak as a collective voice for the whole county. So with that, really good meeting. The next day, on Wednesday the 13th, I had the Clay Cask Food Commission held over at MetroCog, well attended, probably 30 people there. And there were a couple of topics. The main presenter was City of West Fargo, their Parks Department and their forester, talked about city orchards. West Fargo has 13 of them that they talked about, varying sizes, how they use some for education, other just to fill green spaces and provide good produce for just the community at large to go and pick, and part of a neighborhood gathering place. We had lengthy discussion about that. So that was the main essence of that meeting. And then also, I almost forgot, Boulevard Gardens. That was the other part. Mostly pollinators, what you see them most of the time. And they are allowed in Moorhead, Fargo, and not quite sure about West Fargo. But anyway, the use, and then making sure to get your permits, there is no fee, whether in Moorhead or Fargo. It's just a matter of understanding what the parameters are for if you're choosing to do that. On Thursday, I had the Clay SWCD monthly meeting. We went through their cost shares for cover crops. They had 3 items. They had, let's see, four different fuel windbreaks that came through. The tree plantings are pretty much over. Maybe with a little rain here, they'll even grow a little better, but it's nice soaking rain. But I'll get final numbers next month, but they're in that neighborhood of around 20,000 trees that they planted. They also, which Ezra talks about many times up at the Wild Rice, we have these one watershed, one plan funds, and Clay County now has, or for the Buffalo Red, received another $402,000 that they already have new projects underway that they'll use those monies up over 2 years. So, yeah, really active. I think that was the main part of that meeting, other than discussion of information and programs that they were doing. Both Wednesday, the 13th, and on Friday, we also had our what will probably be toward the last now of our non-secure facility strategy meetings and set up for legislature. I will tell you that I'm totally exhausted from this weekend, mentally. And I know that the three of us here were watching the Capital Investments Committee as they went through their bonding bills. Big wins for our area, definitely. I can let someone else talk more specific to their area, but having to do with the diversion and having to do with what's Central Water District and some money toward the non-juvenile center. So with that, and being an active participant down in St. Paul, behind a very active Commissioner Mojo, I really do. I think I want to say this in public, and I'm so proud of our board, every part of it, every person here, corrections, mental health, the diversion. We all had an active part in this along the way, and I just like how our conversations continually went. I can't say enough about staff. Whether out of West Central Regional Juvenile Center or Social Services, they're all engaged. Our representatives, Rep. Keeler, Rep. Joy, Senator Kupek, were always engaging, always available, and, authors of our bills that we're going through. On the non-secure, just a huge thank you to the 29 counties that wrote letters of support, the 11 tribes for their support through the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council, and the dozens of legislators that we personally met. Just get to know these people and the work that they do, and the heartfelt interest they see for all these things that we're trying to advocate for. A little shout out to the Chamber of Commerce, the Association of Minnesota Counties. We're having some further discussions, Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith, and then also a real huge thank you for this year and the ability to work with a lobbyist team of Winthrop and Weinstein, Tom Hansen and Haley Cobb. Brought us into places of discussion that we just wouldn't have ever been otherwise. So anyway, that's a big thank you list, but there were a lot of people involved, a lot of hours spent, and I think Clay County did very well. So that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Krabanoff. Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you. On Tuesday, May 12th, we had a quickly developed PIC meeting. All of the items that we had on that agenda were discussed today, either on consent or with the presentations that were here and recommendations that were here today. And so that all of those have been taken care of. That afternoon, we had the EDC-EDA meeting. I think it was a good meeting. And as I sat there through that meeting, it kind of reminded me of the old days of our Clay County Intergovernmental Retreat Committee, and how we back in those days, we had a combination of working together with public, private, and agencies like the Chamber and the Small Business Administration and those types of things, in finding ways to collaborate on making Clay County better. And the reason I was thinking that, because there's been some discussion recently about the Intergovernmental Committee and its viability, and I strongly disagree with those who think it doesn't serve a purpose. And I, as I've stated, my time on this board is going to be coming to a close, but I would encourage this board to oftentimes I don't like to go back in things. It's always better to go forward. But in this particular case, to use exactly like the dialogue that we had at that EDA meeting, to maybe refocus some of that committee's work efforts. Now, that was designed to be with school districts, our cities, to collaborate on ways where we maybe don't see duplication of services and all those types of things. And over the years, I think we've done what we can in that area. Anytime that you start talking about reducing duplication of services, unfortunately, people protect their turf. It's just a natural deal that everybody protects their turf. And so I think moving forward, I think that would be an excellent opportunity to maybe look at ways where we can continue to grow the economic aspect of Clay County. And, you know, so I think part of what we did that day was having those dialogues. And to maybe bring home builders together with business community and how we plan and how we arrange where our developments go. All those things are just critical, and I think it would be a good on our part to maybe, seeing as how there's some who maybe question that committee moving forward, maybe we should regenerate those efforts in that regard, and I think it would serve the county well. Then on May 13th, I also attended the Red River Regional Dispatch Center Budget and Finance Committee meeting. That was an interesting meeting, to say the least. The 2026 year-to-date budget review went well. There was no surprises there. Our building project is just about done now, and it's coming under budget, which is great. When we start talking about the 2027 budget, there were 4 different proposals there, and there were potentially some significant changes in that budget that, quite frankly, under our stressful budget times that we're dealing with, could be a real strain. And I know Amanda, our director there, she's speaking on behalf of dispatch, and I think where I'm going here, what I'm talking about here is, right now they're looking for the potential for 6 new positions in 2027, and whether they're all filled, and some of them might be. She does have a really good idea in switching to some of the new positions where they'd be what she called call-take-only positions. So they'll be the ones who would take the first calls. I think there's a move to maybe have 3 to 4 of those at once. There's a technology position that's a standalone, in addition to Brian's work he's been doing there. He's kind of overwhelmed with what he does there. So that's certainly is one. But I mean, we're talking about numbers here that on the low end, maybe a 8-9% increase all the way up to 20-some% increases in staffing. And that's a significant portion of that budget. So there's more to come, and I asked that this go before the executive committee because it hadn't been presented to them yet.
Commissioner Campbell, I was part of a dialogue last week in Anoka County because they're dealing with some of the same increases that we all are statewide. Implementing a AI component on the non-Uber critical calls. And it would be fascinating to see where that pilot is located, if that would be some area you could just follow along, understanding that when there are calls that do come in, obviously folks need an individual, but to see if there's savings there.
I think that's a good point, and I know Commissioner Ebringer, maybe between the two of us, I think maybe we can have those dialogue. But I just wanted to point out these 4 scenarios that were talked about here. The first one would see an increase for Clay County over 2026 in the amount of $45,000. The second one proposal would be an increase to Clay County of $92,000. The third one, the proposal would be an increase of $68,000. And then the fourth one would be a increase of $52,000. And that one, that's the lowest percentage at 8.3%. And that's the lowest one that they, I'm thankful for, our finance director from the city of Moorhead was there too, and also raised some real concerns about where we're at right now in our budgeting process. And also, council member Ryan Nelson, who serves as the board chair, he was also on the budget committee, and he did ask some really good questions too, that whatever we need to do, we need to make sure that we're not interfering or harming with the purpose of that agency, and that's for the public safety of everybody. But there's going to be some serious dialogue, and then when we start talking about these proposals of our small cities, that's and how that contract might shape out, that's going to be a significant impact on all of our Clay County taxpayers. So it's more to come on that, but it was an awful lot of dialogue that went on there. So, just give me 1 second here to rearrange here. And then on the 13th, I also attended then the Moorhead Public Service wellhead protection for Moorhead's wellhead protection. And this was the second meeting. It went well. There was a lot of different discussions. We had people from Glendon Township there and others, and the presentation was very well. The Minnesota Department of Health was there, talking about the quality of waters and making sure, and to a lot of the it was a lot of discussion about the mapping and how the aquifer footprint may have changed since the last time we did this in 2013, and how is the aquifer regenerating, what other sources of I think ultimately what everybody would like to see is a reduction, if possible, in groundwater use and finding alternative uses of water to make sure that groundwater is protected and saved for times of severe drought. So we had a lot of good conversations, and I really want to compliment Moorhead Public Service and those people that were there. They're really on top of this and doing a nice job, and I'm thankful that they're doing what they're doing. Then on Thursday, May 14th, I attended the Lakes Country Service Cooperative meeting. I think probably the thing that's most interesting to Clay County and Moorhead is Lakes Country Service is working closely with Moorhead Public Schools in Brandon right now, and it looks like we're getting close to establishing a center here in Moorhead that would probably reduce the need for us to be sending 20-some kids every day by bus to Fergus Falls and to bring them back to Moorhead here. So I think there's some really good opportunities there. And Jeremy Kovash, the Executive Director of Lakes Country Service Cooperative, is really on top of this, I think, and I give him a lot of credit for what he's doing in working with Brandon Lunick at the city, or at the Moorhead Public Schools. Then on the 14th as well, we had a Diversion Authority Planning Committee meeting. We had some talk on the potentials for the crop loss program, insurance program. There's some different options out there that we're looking at in terms of do we take a certain amount of money and set aside that basically it almost sounds like an endowment almost, where you put money aside and then that can grow financially where that would earn more than what our annual premium would be as if we had to do it through O&M on an annual basis. So again, there's more work being done on this from some people really thinking outside the box on ways to do what's best for that project, its operations and maintenance, and for the taxpayers. There were really some good discussions there. Then there was some discussion about, obviously, in June, there's an election in Fargo, and they will have a new mayor in under our current format. Mayor Mahoney will be done the end of June, and based on our bylaws, the new mayor of Moorhead will step in to that position as chair, and depending on who it might be, you might have somebody who's not had any experience or knowledge on the diversion authority. So we had some discussions in that regard, but and I think it was really, we talked about myself, for example, and the year, I will no longer be on there. There's the potential, Mayor Dardis will no longer be there from West Fargo, so there's going to be some significant change over in some people who have been there a while, and the importance of our staff to reach out to and maybe start some early education to new people who might be finding themselves on those boards. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Great updates. Last week, I attended the PIC committee meeting. It was well represented. I know this, I hate to make so many changes when Commissioner Bear's out of town, but really felt that given the advice that this board has given to our staff to try to strategically look at things, really felt like we covered some great basis with the PIC committee and the proposals and the dialogue that we had there. After that, had the EDA, EDC dialogue, and really had a substantial amount of great discussion anywhere from what we're talking about with the organics grant through Clay County and how that can benefit the larger businesses in the school districts. Really was encouraged to hear that we had all the school districts in Clay County except Holly, and only because Holly is in the middle of a big building campaign did they not decide to move forward. Not that they won't, but really shows that we're continuing to find savings through our coordination and collaboration. Great updates from the cities on all of the projects and developments that are going on within their communities. Had an update from Dilworth on the Resco and the community center groundbreakings that have been covered. Talked a little bit about what the Highway 10 roundabout projections are looking like. Talked about some new senior living developments in a few of those areas, different cities. Barnesville had a really great update on that senior housing project that we've talked with them all along on, and how that will open up some additional space, and then great updates on existing spaces that are in Clay County for development. Great update from the city of Moorhead's downtown Moorhead Inc. on the economic development programs that are going on, and their coordination with their public service utilities. Then we did have a little bit of a discussion on the casino update. There were no updates at that time. Since then, that executive briefing has come out. We've not been provided more than just that 3-page document yet, correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Would like to, and I know you're in internal meetings, would like to have some significant questions on how we came about the housing piece. There were only 33 new homes identified with that project, but 700 employees. And so what that tells me is they're probably banking on the existing workforce that is here, already living in homes, and that will continue to be an issue as we figure out how all of us staff the businesses that we have. After that meeting, and I do concur with what Commissioner Campbell said, these are the meaty, if you will, topics that we need to continue to have all of our cities' dialogues on. This framework for our small cities is really important too. The Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC meeting afterwards, Commissioner Ebinger and I met with City Manager Molly and Mayor Carlson and Steve on what our request in the past has been from the Greater Fargo-Moorhead EDC, what have been the tangibles that have come out of that advocacy, not only for Clay County, but any city of Moorhead or Minnesota side benefit. You know, we have had a substantial decrease in what our contributions were there, and we did shift. And to Commissioner Krabanoff's point, this board's focus was to really focus on St. Paul and triaging some of the cost mandates that were coming to us, and how do we stimulate some investment and growth on the Minnesota side. And to have almost $20 million in bonding dollars shows that that shift certainly paid substantial dividends for us. So more to come on that. I know that Commissioner Ebinger has a meeting this week on what that funding looks like, and we'll continue the dialogue moving forward. Over the past few days, I've had a substantial amount of flood mitigation strategy meetings with Commissioner Campbell and legislative planning for the non-secure facility with Commissioner Krabanoff. We were all in prep for what the weekend would result in, and I was able to deliver the stress relief sandbags to every member of the legislature from the Diversion Authority to continue the funding. It was substantially less heavy than all of us pitching all those sandbags for all of those years, but it must have been successful, as they did allocate $10 million to the MCCGAPA to finish the Minnesota components that are vitally needed to protect our citizens in operation, not just folks inside the dam, but also on the other side of it. I attended the AMC Day at the Capitol 2.0, representing Clay County, making sure that we talked about the strategy on minimizing those cost shifts to Clay County. We had fresh information from Quinn that the SNAP shift would be $2 million annually. As we figure out what our budget looks like, it's really hard when we're constantly getting those shifts to us. So grateful for the opportunity to be there, and attended the Futures meeting on Thursday and Friday. We did talk about the human services redesign, how counties can continue to advocate for what that change looks like. Had the legislative updates, and talked about political polarization and political violence, how we work as nonpartisan individuals in this work statewide to continue to tone down the rhetoric as we continue to find solutions for all of us. Because I served on Futures, Clay County did not pay for that trip. Yesterday, I attended the Lakeland Mental Health Center Board of Directors. We did have substantial dialogue about what our deliverables are, access indicators, and as we move into a time when there's a little more openings in the staffing patterns because of vacations, how do we triage what those losses look like? The Clay County facilities continue to be quite sustaining for the entire agency, actually. So I appreciate that we have that availability in Clay County. And yesterday I attended the AMC legislative wrap-out. We had all of the government affairs folks updating on what the highlights from the session were, what were the wins, what were the challenges. A major win, this entire board has been talking about modernization and how that could reduce our fraud exposure, but also help with staff and productivity. There was a huge win, $85 million individually as an earmark for that statewide. Really hopeful that will affect a lot of different program areas, and really grateful for that. And then talked about bonding, as Commissioner Krabanoff talked about. That was a big win statewide to have the $1.2 billion, but particularly locally for us. We'll need to have some discussions at a work group coming up about how we move forward, what the decisions are there. but really speaks to the advocacy of this entire board. After that, I had the Minnesota Rural County Caucus meeting, and same updates really as the AMC one, only more focused on those of us in rural Minnesota. Really, the teams that we have at AMC, but also Capitol Hill Investment, or Capitol Hill Associates with MRCC, and then our lobbyist Winthrop, saved Clay County a substantial amount of money in future legislative challenges going forward. And I think it takes us all a little bit of time to recap from the work, but really grateful to be on the legislative part of this board as part of my committee assignment. So thank you for allowing me to go down there and advocate for Clay County's behalf. I will tell you, when you walk through the halls of the Capitol and have a legislator from Goodhue County say, I really wish my county was doing what Clay County is doing to help mitigate the needs and challenges that we have, that really speaks to this regionalization of the entire issue. And, to say that we're not heartbroken that there's not more substantive money to deal with the children, that whether we got $28 million or $1 million or nothing, Clay County will continue to serve those children in the best possible way. And it is a huge levy challenge. As it's been noted, there's individuals in which their care has exceeded $1 million for finding what appropriate placement is. And those aren't challenges that cities have. Those aren't challenges that they need to finance, but counties are the ones that are mitigating what that challenge is. And that concludes my reports. Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do have one additional thing. Yesterday afternoon, I did attend a virtual meeting along with Administrator Larson, a special meeting of the MCIT board. And it was in regards to a Clay County facility. And, that facility we've had coverage with. There was some discussion about certain things not being covered because it's a 24-hour facility. So they had a special board meeting on that, and they came to a really good conclusion on behalf of Clay County. And that is, they agreed with us the fact that we felt we had the coverage all along, and so what they agreed to and voted on was establishing a rider to the policy that clearly delineates what that coverage is, and that we will have coverage, and that we do have coverage. And they actually backdated it to January 1st of 2025. So they voted that in, as well as now there will be an additional premium for that. And the motion that was approved included an annual premium amount of $5,000 a year. So that was done in board action. So it clarifies any concern that we might have in regards to in coverage on that facility. So I'm thankful for the MCIT for the dialogue that they had and the conclusion that they came up with. So I wanted the board to be aware that I think we've gotten that resolved. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell. Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last Tuesday, I participated in the PIC meeting. Again, that's been well addressed. I just want to thank our department heads. I think that the agenda strategic adjustment item that was on the board are things that we talk about in our management group on a routine basis. And so I was very pleased with the proposal, and appreciate the board's willingness to move forward with that. Participated in the EDC quarterly meeting. That has been well covered. He also met with representatives from the city of Moorhead on the economic development discussion that was brought forward. On the 13th, participated in management. We discussed budget 2027, facilities update, an HR update, and an IT update. Again, Clay County is going to be participating in the Clay County Fair. Again, for the Clay County Government Days, it'll be Friday, July 10th. Again, We will be there from noon to 4. Several of our departments, along with the Sheriff's Department, Highway Department, and many others. 13th, participate in the flood mitigation planning meeting. That's been well covered. Again, appreciative of the funding that was received through the legislature. On the 13th, had the legislative planning meeting for the non-secure detention. It's been well covered. And also met with, that afternoon, met with the representatives from the city of Moorhead, Dilworth, and Wyeth Nation on the executive summary, receiving a very high-level overview of that. We hope to meet again here within the next month or so when they have additional information to share. On the 14th, I met with Dan Molly in a series of issues between the county and the city. One of those issues, Commissioners, is if you recall, a couple weeks ago I brought before you a request to look at a feasibility study with Klein McCarthy at the Law Enforcement Center for future needs of either law enforcement entities, or if the city of Moorhead were to leave, that we would need to potentially fill that space with other county business. In talking with Mr. Molly, they wish to put a pause on that for right now, and so we would not be bringing that forward. I have talked with our architect firm and to make that notification. On the 14th, we had a MACA legislative check-in that I participated in, and also a non-secure detention planning meeting. I met with Darren on the 14th on an HR issue, and then yesterday I had conversations with Mr. Summers from Solutions in regards to the legislative funding and discussed plans moving forward. And also then participated in the meeting, or listened to the meeting of MCIT that Commissioner Campbell has talked about. And with that, I would end my report.
Thank you. Darren?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of all my items have already been covered, so I won't bore you again with all of those. The big things that I've been working on was the data practices project. That's proving a little bit more difficult than I had anticipated. And also, I'm pleased to announce that Anna is back in the office as of yesterday. So I'm happy about that. So I had a meeting with her yesterday and kind of got her up to speed on everything that's happened in the last 12 weeks. Other than that, that's the extent of my...
Madam Chair, if I could, just thank Darren and Jesse and Melissa and Sarah for stepping in. We did, everybody took on a little bit more during the time that Anna was out. We're appreciative of all the great work that they did, and happy to have Anna back also.
I don't think Emmett's excited that Anna's back. Sarah? Anything else, board members? If not, we've covered all of the business for the day. Our next scheduled meeting is May 26th at 8:30. We are adjourned.